Hello everyone, today I am in West Boldon, South Tyneside, just on the very edge of Boldon. Sunderland's just over that hill in the distance, probably about 1 mile to the very edge of Sunderland. For this video we're going back to the 1600s for a forgotten piece of history from West Boldon. Now I'm actually just stood outside Boldon Hall. It's a grand house. It's got some fine gates and a front wall up here. And I think it's about 600-700-year-old West Boldon Hall. Now, I'm just stood down here because we're near a busy main road, so I just want to go into a couple of things. Now, back in the 1600s, saw the rise of the Religious Society of Friends, who otherwise known as Quakers or just Friends. Now, they were sadly persecuted for their beliefs. They were quite radical compared to the established church. They didn't believe in having preachers or religious days, even being told what to do. It was all about God being inside you as an individual and you doing what you saw fit. So they had meeting houses where you could just go along and you could sit in silence. If you wanted to speak, you could speak, and if you didn't, you just sat there. They were sort of ahead of the times in terms of equality and all that sort of stuff, but because they were seen as radical and the established church wasn't too keen on having them buried in their own parish churchyard, so often they would be buried in people's gardens or large houses of people who were either Quakers themselves or sympathetic to Quakers. So around 1657 is probably the first person who was buried in the grounds of Boldon Hall. I think the last was 1670. Then the burial ground, it was inconvenient for the Quakers from Sunderland to get here because you talk about about 6 miles all the way up from Sunderland, and probably the same from South Shields. Each of South Shields started having their own burial ground, and Sunderland had their own, which the first one was down at the edge of High Street West, at the very bottom near Sand Street and Garden Lane, which was in use till the early 1820s. Then another one was built at the corner of Nile Street and Burr Road, and then finally when Bishop Weemouse Cemetery opened, they had their own plot in the centre. That's the fine West Boldon house. It's absolutely lovely, and those gates. First time I've ever been down here because the main road's just up here, but in February 1899, work was done to build a place called Redcar Terrace, which is on the other side of this particular hall. During the course of the construction of the foundations, it was said to be in the extreme northwest of the garden. They were updating the estate, and when these foundations were being dug, they came across a load of skeletons, which are believed to be from when it was the Quaker burial ground. The Reverend Brown had an interest in lost Quaker burial grounds in the northeast, and he put, there isn't actually much information on any of it, to be honest, but he said there was 11 remains found. As to where they were reinterred, I never saw anything about where they were reinterred. Now the actual terrace that was built was called Redcar Terrace. It's actually been gone for a few years now. So if it was up in 1899, it disappeared at some point in the 1900s. Just going to walk around. Apologies if there's lots of traffic because we're near a busy junction. Now what gets me is when you tend to build these houses, the foundations not every single bit of land is dug up, and they weren't exactly looking for human remains because obviously it would slow the building process down. So if you could avoid it, you just leave them there. A bit like at the Pennywell mass grave story you did, where they literally just filled in the concrete. So this is the other side of Boldon Hall, next to the main road. It's a bit blusty as well. Look, some form of crocus are there, or I'm not really clued up on flowers. It's a lovely set in this part of West Boldon. For anybody who doesn't know, there's West Boldon, there's East Boldon, which is further down that direction, and then towards where the camera's pointing is Boldon Colliery, just further around the corner. The old pit is up there. And there's the back of Boldon Hall. You can see some old brickwork up the top there. I'm just going to go down here. Now where I'm at now, this is where Redcar Terrace was. Right down here towards the Red Lion pub. And the northwest extreme corner would be down here. Somewhere around here, so right, this is the northwest of where the old gardens were, or possibly it was on the other side of that wall. You never know, there might still be some more old Quakers buried here. As you can see, it's quite a large garden. There might have been different sections over time. It was only really opened, I believe, for about 13 years. So thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy that, please give it a like and click on the subscribe to help grow the channel. So see if you can see Boldon Hall from here, just up there. I say Boldon Hall, West Boldon Hall I should say. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. That was just a brief video about a lost burial ground from Boldon. So I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.